morning. I'd like to call this meeting of the City Council to order. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could have a moment of silence for our fallen military. Thank you. You may be seated. Kristen, has roll call been taken?
Yes.
Can we start with, or Chief Wells, can we start with you for introductions, please?
Brian Will, Fire Chief.
Dave Richmond, Road Professional Services.
Don Grice, DPW Director.
Scott Sutter, Chief of Police.
Jen Beach, Deputy Treasurer. Brooke Hart, City Treasurer. Kristen Kenyak, City Clerk.
Pam House, City Councilor.
Jerry Link, City Councilor.
Ellen Glass, City Manager.
Mike Gilder, City Attorney.
Elizabeth Armstrong, Mayor.
Brad Dick, Mayor Pro Tem.
Tom Hicks, City Council.
Denise Miller, City Council.
And we are excusing tonight Brenda Simons. She wasn't able to be here this evening for a memorial service. The next piece is a letter from residents.
Could you speak up, please?
Yes.
Sorry, I'll try to hold the mic a little closer. I apologize for that. So we had a letter from Sharon Wright. I'd like to thank her for writing the letter. And next, we're going to move on to public comment. Individuals wishing to speak will be called on utilizing the completed public comment cards. Remarks should be addressed to the presiding officer. And it is not a time for debate, but for comments or questions for council and or staff to answer or research. Questions will be answered during the meeting if the information is readily available. If answers are not available during the meeting, council or staff will contact the individual within 1 week or 7 business days, or when the information becomes available. No person shall have the right to speak more than once on any particular subject until all persons wishing to be heard on that subject have the opportunity to speak. First up, Judy Preston.
I'm here to address the board. I am very disappointed with the mayor. The mayor has had me email you guys, ask you these questions about issues with the city. I've talked with the city manager, found out it's not true. I found out she talked to one of the board members, told the story, and it's not true. I give her, all of you, a list from May Burn, which the mayor has talked to, and talk about all of you behind your back. This is very unethical of a mayor or any person to go around and tell people that they can't get information from a lawyer, they can't get information from a city manager. The city manager is very mismanagement. And there is a wife talks on the phone, she tells us a secret about her wife. There is so much stories out here that the public can hear from this mayor. This mayor is so unethical that it is not funny. And everybody in this, as taxpayers, have to listen to this. What am I told? Don't tell anybody I told you. Met me at McDonald's, don't tell anybody I told you. Talked about the Robber projects, wrong. Information, wrong. I got information for her to ask you guys. This is how this mayor runs. I'm asking each and every one of you to take a motion to vote the mayor out.
Thank you. Kennedy Kunkel.
Hello, I'm Kennedy. I'd like to second that motion on voting the mayor out. She's already has one, city ethics violation, so I'm not sure how somebody with an ethics violation is able to sit in a different position on the board. She's told residents what to say, at meetings. She's also given them FOIA request forms, to try to FOIA documents that apparently, the city manager and city attorney wouldn't present to her. She's trying to find any loophole to catch you guys not doing your job. So instead of working as a team, she's really working behind your backs. And like Judy said, there's a bunch of proof. There's a ton of people that are willing to come forward that can verify everything that Judy has said. We have written proof as well. I just don't know how we've allowed a mayor to sit here and cause so much drama in the city of Linden. Never in my life have I seen something like this before. And it all stems from one person, and it's the one person that continues to have the ethics violation. And I'm not sure on why we allow somebody with an ethics violation to sit in that chair. I feel like the council should make it a little bit tougher to sit in the chairs that you guys are all sitting in. Once an ethics violation has, been come across, I feel that nobody should be able to re-sit in council or mayor. Once you violate the city ethics policy, I believe that that's strike one, you're out. And I believe that if you do the digging that Judy is referring to, that you'll see that she has violated the ethics policy once again. Thank you.
Mary Wickstrom.
Hi, I don't know, do I need to tell you what my address is and all that? She's saying yes. I don't
Yes.
know. Okay. 224 Hyatt Lane. I live right on School Road there. And I just have two questions. What is the final plan for sidewalks? Will it be on both sides or just one? Two, the second question is, when will it start? Mainly not just because of traffic, but for people that live on the road, what should we expect? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy Keith.
I'm just looking for a little clarification on the water bill. I know during the summertime, I have a separate, meter for the sprinkler system. And I just wondered if it's going to have these additional, base fee and the water debt fee, are those going to be added onto that invoice also? And what if I don't turn my sprinklers on? Would I be charged anything at all? Would it be usage only? Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda Heppel.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Hippo, 715 East Ralston Road. My issue is the water hike. When we moved here 4 years ago, I paid $230 every 3 months. Our first water hike bill was $448. This last one is $552.66. I called the city. They sent somebody out to look for a leak. There's no leak. They say our usage doubled. Our usage did not double. We weren't even in town for 2 different weeks. We have a well that is a sustainable well. If I were to turn that well on, what am I going to be charged still for? And I don't like the way that this was all handled. It's just been thrown at us. I feel like it's been manipulative when Madam Mayor came knocking on my door campaigning. I was told about the tax hike or the water hike coming in. A water hike to me would be maybe $100, maybe $150. But to triple my bill, I can't pay that. I can't afford it. I can't imagine that there are elderly people here on budget that can pay that bill. There has to be something you guys can do to help the citizens of this community, because I don't wanna go into debt just to have the convenience of water in my home. Thank you.
I'm hoping I don't slaughter this name. Steve Molinek?
Hello, my name is Steve Molinek. I own Great Lakes Concrete and Paving with my partner Casey. We're at 103 North Bridge Street, next to Thimbleberry and next to Michigan Beauty. I'm here today to talk about the car show that goes on behind the building on Thursday nights. Most of us don't mind the car show. However, the people that attend the car show are very rude. My wife works at Thimbleberry, does nails late at night. Those people will make elderly women park across the street at the church and walk across Silver Lake Road because they won't allow them to park. My business, I have myself, my partner, a sales guy, and we also have project managers come in, we also have foremen will come in. We can't get in there. We don't have a place to park. So I started a little petition. Surprise, surprise, I'm not the only one that doesn't care for the car show. Got a list of names here, I'll give to the clerk when I'm done speaking. I don't wanna cancel the car show, I don't wanna ruin it. I just would like to be able to come up with some ideas of where else we can move it. My idea was going across the street at the church, across Silver Lake Road. There's nobody ever there. My understanding, that's still public parking, and it's never used. I did speak with the Masons before I came over here today. A gentleman named Randy Kastner told me to talk to you, Jerry.
Yep.
He said he's voiced his concerns to you in the past about the same thing. He would have signed my petition, but he didn't feel like it was the right thing to do because it's, there's more than just him. But he said that he would get with you, and if he needed a signature from somebody, he would make it happen. But at the end of the day, I just want everybody to understand, I'm not against the car show. I just think it needs to be moved somewhere else because there's operating businesses over there that they are impeding on, and they're pushing customers away. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Rodriguez, I couldn't make out the first name, but Linda Rodriguez.
That's Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sitting up here. On September 9th of 2021, I sent the city a letter, which they had first sent me, and it was about a meter that they were gonna put on, a new meter, and I said I didn't want it. I know how to respond to these particular things, so, for me to go into all this documentation, I'm just gonna cut to the quick. And I basically said, if you can send me something back truthful, and sign it, notarize it, put your name on it, then I'll go with it. I briefly got something back, and I'll just read just one part right here. Everything said in the enclosed letter is true, right there. Anytime any city or anyone in a representative presentation says something like that, then I take it for the full context of the word, as in true. I sent them one back, which was much longer than that, and I quoted a few titles and a few other things. and basically saying that, if you do that, then I want it notarized. I got nothing back. But I got another letter back and saying that, oh, yes, it would be, and I, there again, said, make sure it's truthful. Notarize it, send it to me. It didn't happen. Then I also started sending to the city of Bill. And I'm sure Tom Trice knows about it. And also Brooke Card. And this was back in 2021. I got nothing back on that. Then it started incurring charges. Now, I can push it farther and take it to a court, and I know I'd win, because I have all the documentation. The only thing I wanna see is, basically it said, your water prices aren't gonna increase. I said, okay, you said it's true, then prove it, send me the documentation back. I didn't get anything back. As far as I'm concerned, that was a lie. And there it is. One other thing, if I may add, I guess we're supposed to be getting, or you wanna hook us up to the Flint water? I don't think so. I mean, that's some bad stuff. We should stay as it is. City well, the way it's working fine for us. Okay, that's it, folks. That's it.
Ron Barish.
Hello, my name is Janet Barish, Ron is my husband. We live at 200 East Ralston Road here in Linden. I'm sorry,
Can you talk into your mic just a little bit?
Okay. I had a couple questions. Why are our water bills an even amount every single month? They're always 600 or 700. I don't believe every month we use exactly the same amount of water. I don't believe it. We go up north in the summer, we're gone normally Thursday to Monday. We go to Florida for 2.5 months in the winter, but we get a water bill, same usage. Now, it might drop a little one from us being in Florida. My other question, it states in here about the size of your meter. How do I know what size my meter is that you folks put on? Okay. Then on the new bill, it says WB water base fee and then debt fee. All right. How long do we have to pay on this debt and how much is it? Nobody knows. How long, how do I know, do I have an individual amount for just my house? Or is it just no matter what or where you live, it's divided evenly across the county? Or anybody on the system? Everyone's different?
Yeah. Everybody's different.
Okay, so how do I find out how much mine is? And why, and if this is not true, you can tell me. I was under the impression that Charter Living, the new senior citizen place, was allowed to hook into the Linden water system instead of being Fenton, which I believe that's in either Fenton or Fenton Township. Why did that complex, why were they allowed to hook into our water? Was that voted on by everybody?
So, ma'am, just to clarify for public comment, we'll try to answer your questions later on.
Okay.
But right now, it's not a back and forth, okay?
Okay.
So I'm trying to take notes,
Okay.
and we'll try to answer them. And just for clarification, if for some reason we're not able to answer your questions tonight, we as staff will follow up with you to make sure they're answered.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Because from the time the new meters and all this started, let's see here, the billing period from June 1st to August 31st was, my usage was 700. My amount due was 191.88. I have another bill from September 1st through 11/30 same amount of usage, 700 even, the bill went up to $266.24.
Excuse me, I don't wanna interrupt, but your time is up, so
Okay.
if you could just wrap it up, I would,
Well,
thank you.
that's just it. I have a lot of small concerns, but questions of, we didn't get any information, just all of a sudden we're changing the meter. So, and the result is with the hookup, our bill.
Law for the layman.
All right. Good evening, members of the Linden Community Board. My name is Dustin Ondasic. I stand before you tonight not only as a resident, not of Linden, but of Fenton. I grew up here, but a resident impacted by the decisions being considered. I'm also an advocate for lawful, transparent, and constitutionally sound governance. I'm not an attorney. My children were abused by the Seventh Circuit Court. My daughters were allowed to be abused in the Seventh Circuit Court.
Excuse me, sir. Any comments of you?
Yep, and so my daughters were victims, so I started to learn law. I'm here formally to place on the record and serve my intent to seek injunctive relief on any votes proceeding on any of the water issues going to be discussed. I'll be at the Chateau Board tomorrow. And let me walk through why. Genesee County in 2020 through 2024 has had willful and material non-compliance with laws and regulations and federal funds on the supplemental audits on the public website. These include ARPA funds. So these ARPA funds need to be accounted for, and Genesee County is behind on transparency on producing these results. You can't keep spending taxpayer money if you can't account for the last 2 cycles. It's just law. This becomes securities fraud. I'm not here to pick a fight. I'm here to stand up just for due process. The second thing, timely publication of 2024 federal audits. This injunction is just asking Genesee County, we will participate, but we want to know where the money went. There are crimes in the federal supplemental audits identified by Plant Moran that my team has found. We also have conflicts of interest in all the property these water lines are running through. There's about 3 people that they're tied to, and there are a bunch of LLCs that have conflict of interests. In the last is legal framework and precedence is, City Attorney, as you know, the Supreme Court in 2024 ruled on Loper Bright versus Raymundo Enterprises, and it removed Chevron deference. Chevron deference was when the EPA allowed the EPA to make a ruling on its own rules or statutes. This was removed because it is void of due process. They are not judicial, they are not governmental, they are an agency. Therefore, they cannot act in law, and regulation and compliance must be followed. I want this to be a reminder that from the Court of Claims reviewing the Flint water crisis, this is the county where they poisoned people. I want you to hear that. These people have a right to due process. They have a right. This violates the 1st and 14th Amendment and 42 USC 1983. With my last 10 minutes, I will serve this whole board, and I am ADA protected, and I do have reasonable accommodations for service on file with the 7th Circuit Court. I just ask to please cooperate with the residents for FOIA transparency because the reports and results are way off, the finances are missing, and that equals extra weight on taxpayers and millage and bonds. We're asking to work with you. I'll help with the law side if you would like, but that's it.
If I didn't call you for your public comment, it was because it was an agenda item, and so I will be calling up all the comments on the PUD during that section of the meeting. So, next is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second? Or any discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Really quickly, Madam Mayor, would it be okay if I try to address some of the public comments in case others can't stay? I won't be able to address all of them, and stuff, but between, myself and some of the staff, we can try to, address some of them. Mary, 224 Hyatt Lane, in regards to the Safe Routes to School project. Don, do you have an update on that?
I do. So, yes, along Hyatt, the sidewalk is on both sides of the street. Yep. And the state will be letting this bid in July, I think it is. So we anticipate a late fall start for the project.
Cindy Heath, I think it is, I apologize if I don't have the last name right, but, you asked for clarification on the water bill. You have a separate meter for your sprinklers, so no, and just clarify, Brooke, do you wanna go ahead and take that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
So on the sprinkler bills, you only incur fees when the water is used. So, when the water runs through the meter, that will start accruing the, commodity charge. And then there would be a base fee at that time as well. There's not a debt fee on the lawn, you're already paying the debt on your home meter.
And just to clarify though, the lawn meters, that's the same way that we have always done that. There's always been a base fee on the lawn meter, correct?
That you only pay when there's water use.
Correct, and then the usage is the commodity fee, so just for clarification, so.
And you're only charged once you reach 100 cubic feet.
Rhonda, you mentioned that your bill was tripled, things like that. I'll have to follow up with you. I don't have everyone's individual bills in front of me, so staff will have to follow up with you that have specific questions about your, actual usage and things like that, and so we will certainly do that. Car show, again, appreciate the comments, things like that. The permit was approved at the last, meeting. So the car show is approved for the upcoming season. We did not receive any feedback on that, but I can follow up with you, after the meeting. Mike Rodriguez, in September 9th, 2021, Tom Trice was our interim DPW director at the time. Again, I don't have the information in front of me specifically. You're referencing the meter project that we did. That specific meter project, yes, there was no increase for bills at that time on the meter project specifically. This project and the most recent water increase is something completely different outside of that. We were moving. So I'm not gonna get into a back and forth. I'm just trying to answer your question the best that I can, and I will follow up with you. Again, I don't have the specifics of your bill specifically. But I'm just referencing that was a completely separate project. It was not related to this project that we are doing right now. So, again, I'll follow up. Yeah, really quickly. It is not Flint water. It is Karen-Gandhi line. It's surface water from Lake Huron. For those of you that are staying later on, John O'Brien will from the county drain office will probably give you a better explanation of that and the quality of water and things like that. But it is surface water. It is not Flint water. It is not the same. It's the Karen-Gandhi line that comes across 69. Again, I think it was Ron, but I think your wife spoke for you in regards to your bill being the same every month. I don't have an answer for that, but we can certainly follow up so you have an explanation. And Dustin, thank you for your comments. I don't really have anything to follow up with, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, moving on to our first discussion item is the Genesee County water connection.
So, John, do you want to, not to put you in the hot seat or anything like that, but tonight was really for residents to hear kind of what to expect and council on what to expect with the upcoming connection to the Genesee County water, and know what we're looking at as far as pressure, things like that. So, John, I don't know if you want to just give a brief overview about the project and then provide them on things that to look for in the upcoming connection. We don't have a specific date for that. And we also have Dave Richmond with Row Engineering here to answer potentially any questions related to that, and Don as well.
Ellen, are we gonna ask questions then? Will you field
So,
questions?
That'll be up to the mayor.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, my name's John O'Brien. I'm Director of Water and Waste for Genesee County. A couple of comments I want to clarify that I heard in the audience. The city manager is correct. We are Genesee County Water Supply. We are not associated with the City of Flint Water Supply System. It is two distinct water systems. They were pulling from the Flint River. Our water supply comes from Lake Huron. So it's completely two different water systems separated. We're not interconnected. So for your comfort, it is not City of Flint water. It is Genesee County water from surface water treatment plants. Second is the Division of Water and Waste is a quasi-agency of the county. We are operated completely separate from the county. We do run our own books, our own audits, our own financial mechanisms. So if there's any concerns with the financials of the county, we are a completely separate entity legally, because that's the way it was set up under Public Act 342.
Is that an agreement with separation?
So, what to expect? Right now, the water line has been completed. The water tank is operational at Thompson and Fenton Road. It is ready to bring water in. The goal would be is to flush the entire water system. Kind of one change out is change out all the water that's currently in the well water, flush out all the pipes over a 2 to 3, hopefully 3-4 day period, and then start bringing in fresh water. We have the ability to bring it in at a significantly higher pressure than you're currently operating at. And what we've done is we've set a meter with an adjustable valve that we can maintain your existing pressure. So initially, you're gonna start out with the same pressure that you're currently operating at. And then once the city is comfortable with that level, we'll slowly, at their request, turn it up, probably in increments of 5 pounds at a time, until we can get it up to full system. The concern is, you've been operating at such low pressure, by bringing up higher pressure in water, we may create water main breaks. Because they're under such low pressure, we may see additional water main breaks as we're building pressure up in the system. So that's gonna occur over time. We haven't decided what that time frame is yet. We're just gonna learn and adjust as we go, because I don't wanna inundate the city with 20 water main breaks in a evening. So it's gonna take some time to build us back up to full pressure. And we may never get to full pressure. We may get to a point where you're saying, this is adequate. The second thing is our water quality is different. Because we are surface water, we are not considered hard water, but we're not soft because we don't fully soften. So we're best way to describe it is we're mildly hard, but we're not. We're sitting at about 100, 110 milligrams per liter. The second thing is we don't have the minerals, the iron, the manganese in the water. It is a surface water, so you won't see those products. Over time, the community and individual residents may be able to, if they choose, turn off their softeners and take the water stream. Most of our residents, we do have right now like 17 communities using our water system, and none of them have softeners in their systems. So that's a preferential choice by individual community. So we anticipate, hopefully, end of this month to begin the process of switching. So with that, I guess I'm willing to answer any questions of the board.
Denise, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can hear me, because my mic's not working. The damage to pipes, when you turn this on, I know you're concerned about the pipes going, through the main pipes, but I have a very old home, 1947. What about my pipes that are going to my house? What are your concerns about that, and who would fix that?
That would be, I'll say this, it's gonna be best to be answered by your city DPW. They are the ones that are gonna operate the system, it's still their water system, or still the city's water system. All we're doing is providing the water, and they will be making the decisions when to turn up the pressure. And I'm assuming you're similar to most communities, that the right-of-way line is where the city ends and private property takes over.
Don, do you wanna, I don't know if you wanna add anything to that?
Sure, I mean, the pressures that the county intends to provide us are well within regulated pressures. So it's not as if you're gonna have pressures that are beyond what the average household should hold. Now, if you have an older home and it's used to having 30 PSI, for example, and we take it to 50 at some point, then potentially there could be a leak if there's a defect in the plumbing in the house. That plumbing belongs to the homeowner. So we're providing typical pressures, and every plumbing system should be able to handle the pressure increases we're talking about.
Do you, my question to you, do you know if there had pressure problems with the last communities you went through with the older homes?
No.
I think that's all my questions right now, thank you.
Tom?
I'm fine, thank you.
Brad?
You said it's a 3 to 4 day flushing process. Should we boil water or anything for that for our residents? Are we doing it by zones? How are we doing it?
Normally when you have a boil order, it's because you've lost pressure. So, as we begin the process, we'll be pushing water in, because we're on the northeast side of the community, and your water plant is on the northwest side of the community. We're gonna be reversing flow, and we're gonna be laying it out, and Don's group has got the layout of the flushing zones. They're gonna flush one zone, then flush the next, and flush the next.
What residents should expect is, it'll be similar to when we flush hydrants in the spring and fall. So there may be cloudy water, there may be rusty water. Doesn't mean that the water's unsafe. You just need to run the water until it's clear, and then it'd be safe to use. If for any reason we would have to issue a boil water alert, certainly we would notify the community, but we do not anticipate that.
That was my main concern, is what the residents can expect.
I guess the one other thing I can say is, because your water plant is on the northwest and we're on the northeast, we will have some water main where flow reversal is gonna occur. That it normally flows from west to east is now gonna flow east to west. And the best way I can describe it is like a dog's hair. It lays down one way, and then we're gonna flip it, so it's gonna create a little bit more orange water temporarily, while we reverse that flow and reset the pumps.
John, can you speak to a little bit about the tests that were ran on the various pipes from our current system? And what, just the process that those went through and what that showed in that testing?
So, one of the requirements of considering the switch is the state of Michigan required us to do an analysis of your existing pipes and what effect converting from groundwater to surface water would have. So, we obtained, I believe, five water services of approximately 8 foot length. And then we operated them, at our water plant through what's called a pipe loop, where you slowly introduce our water through the pipe, similar to a home, and measure the water quality over a year period. And we found no negative impacts from switching from your groundwater to our surface water.
Thank you. Pam?
Yeah, so your test took into consideration pH and everything like that too?
Yes, we had to match the existing pH of your existing water system and then convert to our water system with pH and monitor that.
And so those tests, the end result is that there won't be any.
We did not see
Metal
any,
shaving
and we
off.
didn't see any leaching, because we add phosphates to our water supply for adding that coating, and our pH is running at about 8.4, so we're running a little base to neutral.
Okay, can you speak to the water quality, the benefits versus our groundwater?
As I indicated before, the biggest benefit is long-term, you should not have to run water softeners. You won't have iron and rust in your water because we're not pulling iron and rust out of the ground, we're pulling it from the lake.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I should have restated this, but, the certain things that groundwater has the potential to get, like PFAS and other chemicals. There's more safety in the lake water.
I can't say which.
Okay, well, we
which
don't have
is safer
arsenic,
for
we don't have a
PFAS.
lot of
You
those
don't
things,
have
like
that.
our arsenic treatment plant, which was so expensive, we don't have to worry about any of that now.
No, there is not arsenic in the surface water.
A question on, I think a week and a half or so ago, there was a water issue at the St. Clair River where there was chemicals in the water and you weren't supposed to fish or swim in the water. If there's chemical spills where your inlet's coming in, how does that affect the water when it comes here?
Okay, we have got 2 intakes into Lake Huron. We are north of Port Huron, basically we're around Lexington. So we're fairly north of all of the industrial, both on the Canadian and American side. We also have a 14-day storage reservoir inland. So if there is a problem in the lake, we have the ability to shut off our intakes and let it pass before we turn on, and we can operate off of our in-ground storage.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna take a bit different of approach to this, and hopefully that's okay. When was the last time that the Drain Commission raised the rates of the county water? Do you know?
2017.
Okay. All right, to date, how much has the city paid into the county system? This is just for the number. The city of Linden paid into the county system.
I don't have that answer.
So phase 1 of the project is what we have, was cash, and, it's 1.4.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can get the exact number.
It's like 1.4 million for the first phase, and phase 2 and phase 3 is financed, over 20 years.
Yeah, through the DWRF.
Yeah, with a grant portion. We originally thought there was gonna be a 10% forgiveness, but there was an initial grant, or maybe I'm wrong.
It became a grant,
Okay,
which, yeah.
so. But to the tune of 1.4 million, Brooke will get you the specifics.
And you had one payment for DWRF.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know that
October.
we've paid that yet. I think we just got, or did we?
It's
Okay.
coming up.
It's coming up, okay.
And then we also received ARPA funding, correct?
The project received ARPA funding, which went both to Linden and Fenton Township.
Thank you.
And the city of Linden used their, ARPA dollars, for, the phase one as well. So in addition to the county ARPA funding.
Thank you. And can you, a little bit more about the water main breaks, because are we talking city there? I heard rumor, but I just.
So, right now, you're on, water mains basically are a closed pipe underground, and they work best when you operate at the same pressure all the time. You're operating at 40 pounds, it works fine. As you increase that pressure, there may be leaks or there may be weak spots that it's fine at 40 pounds, but at 50 pounds or 60 pounds or 70 pounds, it will begin leaking and require a water main break. So that is why we're going to start out basically at the pressure that you're currently operating at, and then the city will make the decision to make a request. All right, we're comfortable, turn it up 5 pounds. And we'll turn up 5 pounds and get back to steady state, get everything calmed down, and then we're ready, turn it up 5 more pounds. The goal would be to get the community up, the entire community up above 50 pounds pressure for normal water supply.
All right, so the next question I have for you is, we typically now go to the residents and let them ask questions. Would you like to answer them all at once or individually as they come up?
I guess my preference would be the same as you currently do, is
Hear them
when
all.
you hear the question, and if you want me to answer at that point, I'll answer. If not, I'll sit down and be quiet.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we're going to, put a 3-minute timer on for the water. Unless you're coming to speak for a group as far as the water, okay?
Really quickly too, really quickly, just to clarify.
Lovely, then.
You have to fill out paper.
I'm sorry?
Go back to the paper.
To speak again? Okay, I filled one out, I'll say the exact topic.
No, he filled out a paper.
Oh, okay.
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, really quickly though, just to clarify, if you guys have questions specific to rates, John is not going to have that information, things like that. We are doing a reevaluation of the rates specifically. If you have questions about your specific bill, if you have questions about the rates, those will have to come to us as staff individually. We will have to follow up with you at the meeting. John is here to speak to you guys about the actual connection and what we're going to experience when we have that, when we finally do make that switch. So, again, Don and Dave can hopefully help with those questions if necessary.
Right. Thank you very much for the presentation. I do have one question for you. You mentioned the word quasi.
Again, sir, address it up here, he can hear you, but all the comments are supposed to be directed up here.
Okay, may I get my time back, please? So, first question is this. In the Flint water crisis and multiple lawsuit documents, Michigan has had a history of separation of powers violations. One of those is quasi. When you hear the word quasi, like FOC, friend of the court, says they have quasi judicial functions, that means they span all 3 branches. This is very serious because all of you have an oath of office. Can you please confirm that when he said quasi, that this agency is following separation of powers and there is no violations there, they're not overreaching, and they're following Loper Bright versus Raymond Enterprises in form of regulation? The second is, has anybody done a financial transparency analysis on the land leading up to all these lines? Because if you do, you're only gonna see 3 or 4 major people that have bought properties, very oddly, with some very interesting transactions over the last 2.5 years. There are some LLCs that are underpinning them, and it sure looks like some financial mismanagement or potential conflicts of interest or unjust enrichment. I'm not making an accusation, it's just in the facts. But I find it weird that someone can come through Linden, my hometown, and grab properties, even small pieces that the water line's gonna run through. It sure seems like this water line is actually fueling development at Price's Airport because there was an easement just approved for Ryan LaFontaine to bring power in. But he's telling the residents of Chateau de Lac that there's not being developed. There's something not right here. In the ARPA funds analysis of 2020 to 21 to 22, one of the major issues was vendors. The federal auditors, Plant Moran, called this out, and it had to deal with ARPA funds. And I'll give you an example. $200,000 was spent on a park. I don't think that qualifies for ARPA. I just like to know. I don't know, but I want the details of it. Because financially it's not making sense. And none of the ARPA audits or the corrective action reports from the facts and findings of the last 2 years of embezzling almost $100 million off the books of Genesee County has not been disclosed. I have 200 investigators working on this right now. I'm just asking for some cooperation. If the water projects don't yield transparency, and he doesn't validate separation of powers, the ARPA funds, and I will file an emergency injunctive motion for injunctive relief based on civil rights violations, because this is huge. And the third question is the vendors. So the way that Flint embezzled money through the federal grant program is through LLCs. And the federal auditors called this out in the supplemental audits. I recommend everybody go onto the supplemental audits page and look through this. Have all the vendors on the water project been vetted? Are they in good standing? Because that is a federal requirement to receive ARPA funds. If not, the Fed's gonna come in and actually audit everyone with Pam Bondi, because this is securities fraud. There has been no transparency been given back to the United States government on these federal funds. The federal auditors asked Flint to release the vendors, the list, and Flint told them no. I think those three things should be clarified, and these residents should know where that money is, because A, we might have received more as Linden from the county. They've mismanaged funds for years, and B, if we mismanage funds, it would offset their expense. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other residents that would like to speak on the water?
I got a question. You keep saying pressure. Well, let's go like this. If we're out of a well, we get standard pressure, right? Well, if you're in a tank, isn't that called gravity? That's not a set pressure. That's gravity. Can you set gravity? No. That's simple science. That's what this is. And with what Pam had to say about PFA and stuff, we don't have that in here. You guys are asking questions too, which some of you are new, some of you are not. You didn't have all the facts before you signed the contract. You did not have the facts. The contract should be in void, and the council should listen to the people. We want our wells. We want set pressures. We don't want house. How can he sit over here and say, your homeowner insurance is gonna have to pay for your pipes? That's not right. You didn't know all the facts. You did not know the facts. And when you come to the debt, I don't understand it. You take a debt, it's a one lump sum, but everybody has a certain thing. I got 131.88, somebody's got 80, somebody's got something. Well, when you have a bill, every resident should be the same. Why not? I don't know. Maybe it's his opinion. Maybe that's all it is. Everybody wants his opinion. That's all he said. It's my opinion. But you didn't have all the facts. But you listened to somebody's opinion. Thank you.
Hi, Tara Phillips, 715 Riverside. So I listened to the Genesee County Commissioner meetings, and please, I'm not sure if I have the date correct because my phone is up there and I can't check it, but I know Jeff Wright, the Drain Commissioner, spoke, I believe it was in January of this year, and to the board, to this gentleman sitting over here, I would like him, if he could, to verify the amount of ARPA funds received. I believe it was either 26 million or 29 million that the county received for water and infrastructure improvements. So I just would like that clarified. And then I just wanna make sure I heard him correctly. He said they audit themselves. And when I think of audit themselves, I mean, that just makes my mind go all over the place there. Yeah, separation of powers. So again, I guess, as a concerned citizen, for a lot of residents, I mean, I can't imagine these people on fixed incomes. My heart breaks for all of them. But I think we, the people, need an outside audit, by not their choice, the county's choice, by we the people's choice. So to the board, to you, I would like, I think that needs to happen. We need to track this money to make sure Linden's getting the proper amount of ARPA funds in here to help us citizens out. So thank you.
I have a comment from Trina Aliff, and there's one on the water here.
Yeah.
So you can come and speak about the water.
Mine's more on the utility bill. I'm a single mom of 5. Many of us here are either single parents or hardworking parents that cannot afford these outrageous prices that are unconstitutional, against our liberties for living. It rips the food out of our children's mouths. How can you guys sit in these seats, each one of you, and be okay with that? What about your children? What, you guys get to sit on a pretty penny? Not all of us have it easy. There are people in this community who love this community that don't want to go outside this community and take their kids outside of a good community. Why? Because outside of that, look at it. Look at the world we live in. So now it's hard for me to raise my children in a community that's safe for them because it's almost not affordable. Not my fault that I can't afford it. I have health issues. I can only work so much. I have lupus with seizures. And being a single mom on top of that, I work hard for what I do have for my children and what they have and to feed them. And I can't do that with this. It is very unconstitutional. Bottom line, these water utility bills increases are in violation of the citizens' constitution to the rights of living in a free liberty, or have we forgotten our constitution and the Bill of Liberty and our rights? Where does the municipal board get off that it's okay to tax, charge, and bill its citizens, residents, community beyond their living means to even live life and provide for their children and their families? I shouldn't have to work 4 jobs just to pay water so my kids can wash themselves or drink water and worry that the water that they're drinking is parasitical or toxic, as it is. And now we're being overcharged, but unhealthy water that's making our children sick. Where's your moral consciences? That's all I have to say.
Just to clarify, Trina and everyone else that spoke about the rates, I'll reiterate again, just to be respectful of John's time. He is here to answer specific questions about the actual physical connection. If you guys have comments, questions, anything in regards to rates, please see us as a staff and we will try to follow up. We understand this is frustrating. The city feels very similar. These people that are sitting up here that were elected to these positions all have, a responsibility to pay city taxes and to pay utility bills in that event. So they're not, I guess, protected. So please, just out of respect for John's time.
I want to know if the beat around the fucking bush.
She says temper tantrums. We're all having temper tantrums. And she said that when she said it. Hey, Mayor, get it under control.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. calling this meeting back to order. If everyone could please make it to their seats.
So, before we get started, the council has heard this from me many times, many of the audience haven't, but you know, I've spoken up a time or two to redirect folks' attention. Not to cut anybody off or to be rude, but we do have the authority to remove people for disorderly conduct in the meeting, which we've never done and no one wants to do. But the only way we can avoid doing that is one person speaks. When they finish speaking, please sit down. Folks here will do their best to answer questions when everyone has spoken. The back and forth, especially the commentary, if anyone is speaking under their breath or even loudly enough about what someone else has said, just not very polite. So we would ask that you follow those rules so we can get through this and everyone's comments can be heard.
Are there any further people that would like to speak about the water connection piece? Not water rates tonight. That is not being discussed tonight because we are still awaiting answers from EFM. And until we have those, we cannot speak on anything as far as water rates. But if you would like to speak on the water connection piece, please come forward. Okay, all right, thank you. Would you like to answer any of those questions, Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, I took quick notes, so, basically, the first question was the quasi-government, or quasi-county. The Division of Water and Waste is established, which is a state law, so we're an independent agency, but we're enacted by the county board. So, we are called Genesee County Water and Waste, but we are actually an independent agency within the county. The second is, we do have separate, we don't do our own audits, we still have our own separate audits, and we have to abide by the same rules. So we have to submit, just like a city or a township or a county, we have to submit our audits to the state, just like any other entity.
Sir, respectfully, the question was,
Excuse me, sir.
can you verify?
Excuse me.
That's not the
Wait a
question.
minute, sir,
Hang on just for a
this
minute,
isn't the
sir.
time.
That's not the question.
You've had your opportunity to ask the question.
Can you answer it? That's what it's supposed to be.
If he wishes to talk to you after the meeting, but don't interrupt this gentleman while he's talking. You've been given 2 opportunities to speak, and we've given him an opportunity to
Counselor,
respond.
you have given me an opportunity to ask a question. If he doesn't answer the question that I ask, this is all for naught.
This is
But
not
then
a
at the
courtroom
end-
where it's back and forth.
No, I just asked, can he validate on record today, are they following separation of powers?
John,
Can you,
just
yes
go
or
ahead
no?
and finish your talk, please.
That's why, you'll never make an
So,
answer.
the second issue was, pressure and gravity. A simple explanation is our water tower is approximately 50 feet taller than your towers, which will generate an additional 25 to 30 PSI pressure. So it is gravity, but our towers are much higher in the air, so that creates kind of the gravity pressure difference. Yes, the county or the Water and Waste Administration did administer approximately $29 million in ARPA funds, but those ARPA funds were from the county proper for several projects. We had phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of the Southern Lakes. We had the Kersley Creek Interceptor in Burton. I have a project in Otisville for $200,000. So the Division of Water and Waste administered ARPA grant monies that were received directly from the federal government to the county or to the local municipality. So we didn't generate any of that money. We administered it, and we are the ones that have to keep the books and submit those as part of the federal audits.
And just to add to that, specific to the ARPA funding, each community that wanted a chance at any county ARPA dollars, we did have to go through a grant process and fill out and request our projects, and it went through approval process specifically for, I know for Linden, and similar, I think, Benton Township on theirs.
Yeah. So with regards to water chemical testing, we test our water supply at Lake Huron on a weekly basis, daily basis, we monitor, and then we take the concerned chemicals, which are volatiles, on a monthly basis to make sure the water quality at the lake is good. We then, at our water treatment plant on the east side of the county, we again resample and verify that we do not have PFAS in our water system. And then once we distribute it to the county, we then collect and sample all the water in the pipes to verify that we're not introducing any PFAS there. So the water is tested at the lake, which is the water source. We test it coming into the water treatment plant, going out of the treatment plant, and then we also have to test it in the distribution system throughout the county. We have significant amount of testing, which can be found on our webpage for Genesee County Water and Waste on our water quality reports.
And do you have anything additional to add to what the gentleman was saying, or nothing additional?
To be honest, I'm not sure what he's looking for.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Madam Mayor, if I could just piggyback on what John was saying, the city also has to continue testing water, and those regulations are by Eagle in the state of Michigan, and so one of the things that they've asked us to do is additional testing. So I have some forms here if you're a resident and you're willing to be a sample site for us. It's information that we take, we send it out to an independent lab, we have it tested, we submit those test results to the state of Michigan. And so we need 40 locations to pull samples from. So if it's something you're interested in being a part of, I have some forms here, we certainly would appreciate it, and then we can get you additional information on what that sampling looks like. Thank you.
Sorry, we can't answer any more questions because I've already closed out the water questions. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien, for taking your time and coming out here as a representative for the Drain Commissioner. I appreciate it. I'm sure we all do. Okay, we are now moving on to Forest Ridge Estates Preliminary Unit Development, or PUD. I already have 3 people that have turned in their comments, and then we'll open it up for more. First is Brendan Krug.
Hello, my name is Brendan Krug. I live at 108 Nicole Lane. So I'm talking about the water right now around my house, which is already pretty high. I have a sump pump that runs every about 10 seconds. My basement just fills up with water if that doesn't run. I have to, in the year and a half I've lived there, I had to replace 2 sump pumps. Every 4 months I have to clean up the pipe, do the iron ochre. And I was wondering what they're, the new subdivision, what they're gonna do to take care of this high water, if it's not gonna add already to the high water table. And it's not just my property, there's several people that couldn't be here today. And I'm speaking for their property, even across the street, kitty corner, their water is to the grass all the time, no matter what. So what is this new subdivision gonna do to this high water table due to all the clay? And as well, our end of our court, that drain doesn't fully drain. When it rains at all, that thing fills right up and floods the neighbor's house right into their garage half the time. So are they gonna fix that drain? And any other drain issues? Are they gonna do any trenches or any retention ponds, and where's it gonna go? We've got whole train tracks that stop the water from going straight into the rivers. Can you read my own writing? I had some questions from earlier that came up. If we haven't had the water already applied, which I thought we did, why are we paying more already? And then why are we also are we paying city and county sewers? I don't remember that from before, I could be wrong. And that's all I got for right now.
Thank you. Eric Pouget. Did I pronounce that correctly?
It's close.
Eric Pouget, 276 Lower Lane. Told by my HOA vice president, I just had to come and say what I said last time, like, I don't give anyone permission to come on my property, backfill my lot, change the grade of my lot whatsoever to help them build their subdivision. They need to figure out their own issues. Their problems aren't my problems, and I don't want that water backfilling into my basement to change the grading of my property to help them out. So I give zero permission to anybody doing anything to my lot to help that new subdivision go in.
John Hill.
I was gonna give a packet to every one of the city council members. I am John Hill, and I live at 292 Lower Lane. I'm addressing the Linden City Council on behalf of the Forest Ridge Glens Condominium Association Board of Directors, and I'm also a co-owner. There are problems in Forest Ridge Association and Forest Ridge Glens Association. Brendan that got up here and talked, he's from Forest Ridge, and Eric is from Forest Ridge Glens. Building 30 new houses in the area without considering the problems or meaningful solutions will only make the neighborhood's water problems worse. The HOA's co-owners have standing water in their yards. Some pumps are running as much as every minute, and there are underground springs. The land and the subsoil is saturated with water, and the water table is high. Water flows under the Ralston Road with a 24-inch culvert that is dumping water onto the wetlands on the east side of Forest Ridge Glens. The water is flowing down the east side of Forest Ridge Glens and into the detention ponds before entering into the Shiawassee River. And city council members, I have photos in there of under the water pouring underneath the road at the last rainstorm, and that culvert you're looking at is a 24-inch culvert, and you can see by the photo that it's half full. The wetlands on the west side of Forest Ridge drain south to Andrea Avenue, Andrea Court, and finally over to Nicole Lane, where Brendan, who just spoke, lives. Water flows over the north curve of Andrea Avenue and around the proposed lots 1 and 2 up on the screen that's up there, and onto the street. The wetlands also flow into Nicole Avenue and add to the flooding that's already there. The development of Nicole Lane as a phase 3 of Forest Ridge Glens is attached to Forest Ridge. When this was originally set up in 2002, there was no designation as wetlands where Brendan lives. Those 5 lots in there were all buildable lots. So if you're looking at the Eagle designations, they call it the delineations, you'll see that one of these delineations for the proposed Forest Ridge Estates and continues on all the way down to Kathy. And in 2002, this was not a wetlands. So over the ecology or the shift in the land, how the water flows, the construction that's gone on to it has flooded those lots. And if you'll notice up there, I think it's number 76 or 77. That lot has been abandoned because it's flooded. And all the city council members have a pictures in the winter and in the summer of that lot being flooded. And that water was never there when this original PUD was approved. So my question to the members of city council and the mayor, when they need to come up with solutions to the water problems before more is added, with the adding the 30 new houses. Because if you take a look at, can you switch that to, I think it's C5 or C6?
Of the Forest Ridge Estates or the other development, the older development?
Okay, yep, there you go. You're into the exhibit B. You need to go closer to the front with the start. There you go, right there. The proposed PUD is that center section there. Forest Ridge Glens is on the right. The part of Forest Ridge is up on the top left. You see the dotted lines on the top section of the middle? That's usually when they put it onto a site plan that is pretty much the center of the lot or the center of the roof, and they designate that the water from that line to the road is going to slope to the road, and that line sloping to the going up from there, all that water is going to drain into the wetlands. And that wetlands, the additional water that's going to be draining in there is going to make the problem worse. So we want to make sure you guys address that before you approve the PUD. And then we want to talk about on Forest Ridge, Glens is on the right side of that map C6. And we have several of the owners of lots 37, 36, 35, 34, and 33 here. And there is a swamp right behind their house. And when the original houses were built, the grade level was not shot properly, and it was approved, and they were allowed to get occupancy even though the grade was not done properly. So now they have a continuous running of their sump pump. Some people in there have replaced their sump pumps 3 times a year, and it runs continually.
This needs to involve the county drain commissioner.
So, Madam Mayor, really quickly, the reason that this is on the agenda tonight is to hopefully bring the newer members up to speed, also give Mike an opportunity to explain the process for the approval of the planned unit development and also give council the opportunity, as it's a work session, to ask those questions. Because this gentleman is waiting, and it was approved at, the February Planning Commission meeting. Dave Richmond, again, with Row Engineering, is here, to hopefully speak to, some of the comments, and then, so that's really why this is on the agenda tonight. So I don't know, Mike, before we continue on, do you wanna explain the process here, so everyone's aware of what the responsibility is and things like that? I think that would be helpful to the conversation. I think we gotta, kind of clarify, I guess.
So under the city's zoning ordinance, the planning commission makes a recommendation when it comes to planned unit development, and that was what happened in February. So they recommended approval of it with some conditions, and now it comes to city council for approval. What usually happens between the planning commission and city council is there's a use and development agreement prepared by the developer. One, in fact, was prepared. It was sent to me for review and comment, and I had not finished that. I was frankly waiting for this conversation. Your zoning ordinance, I wrote this down in anticipation of the meeting. This is what your zoning ordinance says about what planning commission approval means. How do you interpret that? And it simply says that approval shall constitute approval of the uses and design concept as shown on the preliminary plan, and shall confer upon the applicant the right to proceed to preparation of the final plan. I mentioned this to the planning commission. If city council approves, accepts the recommendation of planning commission, that does not give the developer license to put a shovel in the ground. There is no green light, simply because you approve it. The process requires that there be further approvals granted by their governmental bodies, the state of Michigan and the county particularly. I also mentioned this at Planning Commission. The city, we are not hydrologists. We have engineers and we have professionals on staff, but we're not hydrologists. We are not in the business of regulating the flow of water as it relates to this, in dealing with wetlands and things of that sort. That's something that has to go to the state. The state looks at it, and that's one approval that they have to be given. And so if the developer, let's assume city council accepts the recommendation and approves it, as I said, developer can't do anything with it. He must then go to the county, secure permission from them. Goes to the state, secures permission from them. And then from any other governmental body that has a say in those plans. And if they don't get those necessary approvals, no shovel goes in the ground. So as it relates to some of these things, the wetlands in particular, the flow of water, I don't believe that the city is equipped to handle that one way or another, to say, well, that is gonna solve that problem, or no, it isn't. That's why those approvals need to go someplace else. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denise, do you have any questions?
Yes, with Mike. I was at that planning commission meeting that night, and I know the planning commission, can everyone hear me? Okay, I'll try a little bit better. I was at the planning meeting that night, and I know that the planning meeting, the people on the board stated that they wanted, some more information from, I believe, the other one over there. Yeah. And did we get any of that paperwork back?
I don't know.
They have not submitted well, they submitted some revised plans, but I have not approved anything yet. They're not, the plans that were submitted are not, to me, are not official engineering plans. They just sent some plans in where they had made some changes to one of the detention basins, but I have not approved anything. I've told them, as a matter of fact, they've got a lot more work to do on the plans yet before I would approve anything. So they still have to work on their engineering. Their engineering is not meeting standards. But if I'm not mistaken, that's not necessarily a requirement for this because we still have to work through the engineering
Right.
approval process.
Right, and that's the section that I wrote. It gives the applicant the right to proceed to preparation of the final plan. So, I mean, if I'm the developer here, and, you know, the city were to come to me and say, well, wait a minute, we want you to go get DEQ approval before the city's going to approve it. It's a bit like the chicken and the egg. You know, why would I go to the DEQ if I don't have the city approval? You know, which comes first in that sense? And so, that would be fixed, doesn't need to be fixed at this point in time.
Okay, being new, I've gotta ask you this question, so if they go out through all these hoops to get approval.
Right.
And everybody else gives them the approval.
Right.
Does it come back to us to approve or not?
No, you would be giving, you're giving conditional approval. We approve it if all those others approve it.
Any further questions?
Which that is standard, so we've had other planned unit developments that have been, done within the city. That is standard process, right? So you're giving guidance and approval to say, okay, we've given these conditions, now the staff and our engineers and those individuals have to make sure that that's carried out.
I understand that. My biggest issue is that I wanna make sure that these residents, the residents that are here right now are being heard, and all those, you know, basements that are being flooded or whatever, that they are just as important as a new development going in. That's all.
Thank you. Tom?
No, the questions have been answered that I had on this project. Water being run off on other people's property and stuff, which is, from what I understand, is not right. I want to understand exactly what these people are saying. Now it's being new, we now know the procedure a little bit better, feel a little bit more comfortable with it. As these other companies, the state and the county, do we get a chance to see those, what their recommendation and plans are?
Sure, we could get those.
Because I would like that to come back to the board so we could actually feel comfortable about it.
Well, I think it depends what you're asking. If you wanna see those, to review them, that's fine, but they don't come back to us for approval. Because, again, let's say DEQ gives a report and they say, yes, we give the green light to that project, and whatever it is that DEQ does. We don't have anyone on staff that was in a position to say, well, DEQ, you're wrong. So, you know, we have to accept those things as.
So, but we would have a chance to look at it.
Sure, those things can, I'm sure they're on file, with the city as those approvals come in, but.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad?
As having done a few of these, I wasn't here for the original Horse Ridge on Planning Commission, and I do understand the current residents' issues. If you're at the meeting, you know I was lobbying for more studies, and more studies, and more studies. We've done those. You know, we've had the wetlands delineated a few different times. I think I pretty much guaranteed Laura Lane will be maintained throughout. But there are more than just the engineering. I know our engineer believes there is a plan that can fix the problems. But again, the city's not going to pay the engineer this new development. So the first step's gonna be the NEMR group submitting an engineering plan that our engineer can live with and thinks, you know, it's gonna work. And then the ultimate authority on drainage is the Genesee County Drain Commission. They are they sign off on any kind of drainage issues. But as John had mentioned, Mr. Dillon mentioned, there are numerous things that still need to be done, as in your maintenance agreements between the HOAs and such. I don't know where we're at with other things. I wish Adam Young, our planner, was here tonight. He would know exactly where we're at in the phase of getting all the other sign-offs and agreements together for the whole development. The engineering on the detention basins and such is only a small part. And I agree, I wanted to see it before we did it, but it is a chicken and the egg, and they do get, you know, I'm not an engineer. Our engineer's telling us that, you know, he's gonna look at it. The county's gonna look at it. And I have to take their word for it. Because I don't have the background. Nobody up here on the board, I don't believe, has the background to know if it's gonna work or not gonna work. I live in the Linden subdivision, and I didn't know when I bought my house, but I guess it was all farmer field and swamp and drainage tile and everything else running through there. And before there's some drainage improvement done, there used to be 10 feet of water across the street from me. I didn't know that when I bought my house either. So I understand exactly where you folks are at. Dave, do you know, has there been any other communication? No other engineering plans from him at all?
They submitted some engineering plans that, they detailed that newer detention basin, the second detention basin, but they were still showing, what you call freeboard elevation, you're supposed to have 1 foot of, you have storage elevation at a certain elevation, let's say it's 10, then you have to have freeboard 1 foot above that, which would be 11. They're still showing their freeboard is coming on to those properties, and I told them that's not gonna work. You cannot have that, you need to rework this so that's not happening. But they have not really submitted an official set of engineering plans. This was just something they had submitted in showing how that detention basin was gonna work. It was something that they had submitted into Genesee County Drain Commission as well for the outlet. And they still hadn't got approval back from them for the outlet either. So it's, to me, what was submitted is not an official set of engineering plans for me to review, to look through for, lot drainage, because that was something I had brought up earlier where I wanna see grading on the lots to understand where the drainage is going from those. That's not been submitted. It was more what they submitted was just to show that they were putting in this other detention basin to try to help out. But it's still not meeting the standards, it's not meeting the requirements that it needs to meet yet.
Thank you. I also know that you and Mr. Greisky, our planner, and our mayor actually walked the site the other day. Did you notice any other deficiencies over there that we need to address between the other HOAs? I know we were talking about, there was some, detention pond issues in the first two, up in the Glens and in the Ridges detention ponds originally that they were gonna have to address.
We didn't walk the site today, we just had a virtual meeting.
Okay, virtual, okay.
Yeah, to
I thought you
discuss
were
it.
there. All right.
I have been out there and walked the site before, and that detention basin does need to be cleaned out. The outlet structure needs work done on it, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that as well. That's about the only thing I haven't really walked. I haven't walked the entire site through there to see exactly what's going on. So I haven't had a chance to get that far into it yet, just because I haven't really seen, to me, a set of engineering plans where I could go out and fully look at everything.
All right, I got you, because that was one of the things I had requested, was a full evaluation of the drainage for the entire site as a whole, so I understand if you haven't gotten it back. I just wondered, that was one thing I was just wondering if we had been out there and noticed any other deficiencies. I know it's gonna be a collaborative effort between the three, the builder and the other two homeowners associations to make the system work.
Yes, it is. You know, and one of the things that, like I said, I haven't really seen to me, an engineering set of plans, but one of the things I wanna see done is, some additional storm work done between Nicole Lane and coming down to this site to help, some of the issues that are there. Because the pipe that was put in was grossly undersized for the amount of drainage that's coming down through there. So that's something that we need to look at having corrected as well. This other detention basin they put in, it's a step in the right direction, but they still haven't got it correct. And you made the point, you're not paying for the engineering of this, so I'm not gonna engineer it for them. it's up to them to provide me with some, an engineering set of plans that is going to work.
I hope that, helps some of the residents of Forest Ridge know that we're not gonna just let them start bulldozing land, and we are concerned with the outcomes. Thank you all.
Jerry?
I just want to be clear, these engineering plans will be submitted before we make our decision to move this process forward. The engineering plans to you, no, they will not be.
Not necessarily, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as we were talking about, this is, the approval right now is to be able to move forward so they can get the engineering
Okay.
plans approved.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I have a couple of things. What was that?
Can I say something?
I haven't spoken yet, so let me go and then you can go, we can go back. Okay. All right, so, I'm gonna go a little bit different of a direction with this one too tonight. All right, so these are the things that I would like to see in place prior to the final plan even coming to council. A performance bond for the city, which is standard. Performance, you know, whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna call it performance bond. Okay, that's going to include all the normal things, grading of plots, lighting, the detention basin, drainage, Gazette permits, all the normal things that are in performance bonds for the city portion. Then, I would like to go into a separate performance bond based on what the planning commission, the recommendations of the planning commission that will cover, the roads for Laura Lane that they will be driving down in order to come in for the 2 to 3 years that they're talking. And I would like inflation included in that for the 3 years. As well as if at any point, any of Damon LLC's, I believe that's what this is called, Damon LLC or Damien, or something of that nature. If their detention basin, Laura Lane's detention basin is going to be used at all, in any way, shape, or form, I would like their percentage, is that of maintenance included in that separate performance bond that is held, so that every resident is guaranteed to have the things that the planning commission is that drew in and wrote in. Before a performance, or before a final plan, these are just the things I'd like to see, comes to council. Both performance bonds, is that guaranteed? The drain commissioner, to have the final, his final plans, does that, as well as the engineering reports, I would like to see all those things. I also, based on my conversation last Thursday, would like, a soil boring sample for each individual plot back in that section to check the water table, because it is my understanding that it's quite high back there, no different than it is in certain portions of Nicole. And so I would like that to be done on every single lot. And then the final bit that I would like to see is a maintenance agreement between all parties involved. And this is just my starting list. This is where I start of my asks. I do know about the water problem over there. I'm not gonna go into great detail, but I do know it exists. You know, the conversations that I've already had with Don, Rowe, and Adam Young, y'all know that I am aware of those. This is my just basic start. I have a very hard time, bringing something to council for approval that, in my opinion, probably needed to stay for another time in planning commission, but that's just my opinion. I don't know that we were quite at the point that it needed, council needed to do this quite yet. So those are the things that I would like to see. Mr. Hill.
And just for council's benefit, if we're going to open it up to Mr. Hill, we have to open up to everybody.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Hill, what I would say is this will come back before council. So at that time, please come back and speak again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike, could you address that? I don't, as far as the performance bonds and those requirements.
Well, I just made note of them. At this point in time, I think I've been given a use and development agreement to review. I know that touches on some of these. At this point, I take note of your concerns.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the manager's update.
Just a few things to update you guys on. We did have 3 firefighters recently complete and pass their fire instructor 1 certification. Kristen, our clerk, also completed her 3rd year at Clerks Institute and will now officially be certified through Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. Just waiting on the certificate. In the last weather event that we had with the rain, the roof on the sunroom here could no longer take it, and it did collapse. So we did have to get a contractor in here to take that out and remove that. So as you all know, that's been an issue that when the city took on the management of LoC, that was a long-standing issue prior to the city coming on board. We were able to secure grant funding along with some CDBG funding that we're working on to do the necessary renovations and replace that room yet this year. So that is one of the areas that was supposed to be renovated, and again, we'll be moving that forward. But just so you all know, last week we did kick off Box City with Linden, L, and Hyatt. The kids were really, really excited to host all of us and our department heads and things like that. And we're looking forward to going back for the ribbon cutting. So that's really all I have, unless you guys have specific questions for me. Mike, I don't know, do you have anything to add to as far as attorney?
In terms of the attorney report, I just wanted to comment, I think the women are gone that raised the issue. But the city council has no control over eligibility for office. If you've attended meetings before, you've heard me say that. It's all set by statute, who can serve, who can be elected. We have no control over that. The idea that city council can remove any individuals or have control over that is just wrong. So that's all.
In regards to that, what do we do with what they're asking for?
Under your ordinance, if there is an ethics violation, it goes to you to route to me.
Okay.
All right. With that being said, I call this meeting closed at 8:35. Oh, actually, do I have a motion to?
I make a
adjourn the
motion that we
meeting?
close the meeting at 8:35.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
This meeting is called at 8:35.
You're trying to heat up?
It was hot when we came in.
It was.